Hello friends, I'm back with another questions and answers video. This time, we will address some interesting questions and topics related to the Baki series. Jumping straight to the video's point, here's the first question. What if Yujiro was in One Punch Man? Many fans have asked this question over time. I'm not sure if everyone watching this video is familiar with One Punch Man, but if you haven't seen it, I highly recommend it. The series is about a guy who, after training so hard, broke the limits of human strength and is now so strong that no enemy can give him a bit of excitement in his life. But what's interesting about this series are the secondary characters and the power scales. In this series, each hero has a place in the ranking of the strongest. At the top of the ranking are the S-class heroes, followed by A-class, B-class, and so on. Returning to the question, the issue here is in which group of this ranking would Yujiro Hanma, the strongest creature in the Baki world, be? S-class heroes are known for their incredible feats. Here we have characters who could destroy a city on their own. Some of these heroes have feats that place them well above those achieved by Yujiro Hanma. However, I would dare say that the ogre definitely deserves to be in the S-class. The strongest A-class hero, Sweet Mask, has so far shown physical abilities similar to Yujiro Hanma. This hero's speed is very high and his fighting skills are deadly. Although he doesn't seem to have a great knowledge of martial arts, his movements and strikes are designed to finish off the opponent as quickly as possible. Physically, he may not seem the most resilient, as he has taken significant damage and been overpowered in terms of physical strength on some occasions. What compensates for this is his incredible regeneration ability, allowing him to heal from mortal wounds. Sweet Mask is referenced to gauge his power level compared to Yujiro. This hero is practically S-class, but has stayed in A-class by choice. He doesn't want anyone who isn't as strong as him to move up. Yujiro comes into play here, being definitively stronger than the rest of the A-class heroes. It may be controversial, but I would bet that Yujiro could beat Sweet Mask and go straight to S-class. There are 17 S-class heroes, but interestingly, a part of them isn't ranked from strongest to weakest. Some are positioned based on their knowledge and contributions to the hero society. However, if we were to list from weakest to strongest, it would look like this. After analyzing, I believe it's quite likely Yujiro could make it into the top 10, surpassing fighters like Pig God, Child Emperor, and Metal Knight. It's controversial, as these heroes have shown next-level feats. However, I have a good reason, and that is if we're introducing Yujiro into this world, he should fit into the series' power scale and therefore have a limiter that he would undoubtedly push to the extreme and try to break. Saitama, the protagonist of the series, was an ordinary man who broke his limiter and achieved monstrous strength after training until he went bald. Yujiro is a born fighter and could definitely replicate this feat to boost his powers to the maximum level. But even if we take away the possibility of breaking his limiter, he would still be very strong. He could definitely defeat Child Emperor and Puri Prisoner. I have my doubts about Metal Knight, as with his battle knowledge, he could devise a strategy to beat Yujiro. But I would venture to say that Yujiro could prevail against him. The other classes heroes are more complicated. Some are not as physically strong but possess really impressive abilities that could overcome Yujiro. For example, Atomic Samurai is not known for his physical strength, but his swordsmanship is supreme. His cut is at a molecular level, and honestly, I don't see how Yujiro could evade an attack of that magnitude. Darkshine is like Oliva Biscuit, but 10 times stronger. It would be very bold to say that Yujiro could beat him with brute strength alone. Tatsumaki is capable of levitating an entire city with her psychic power. She is a monster. And at the top is Blast, who fights beings from other dimensions and wanders through the corners of space as if it were a normal day. But while to not go on further on the topic, I think that Yujiro could definitely enter Class S and maybe, with hard training, could climb to the top 10 spots, but for now, I would place him at number 12, based on his feats shown in the Baki series. This is just my opinion, and it may differ from yours, so I would like to hear your thoughts on this. Tell me, how do you think Yujiro would fare in the world of One Punch Man? This friend asks what would happen if the 5 inmates fought at the same time. Truth be told, I also support Dorian, as I mentioned in the previous video, when asked who was the strongest inmate. I indicated that physically Spec was the strongest. However, in terms of combat technique and strategy, Dorian is the most complete fighter of the 5. In a hypothetical fight between them, anything could happen, since in this series, the strongest does not always win. Let's imagine that all five are in the same prison and find themselves in a situation where they must face each other to win the right to be released. In this scenario, they would be in a closed place, such as a dining hall, without many places to hide, which would result in a fight of all against all. Here, Dorian and Speck wouldn't have heavy weapons to use in the battle. The most lethal things they could find would be dining utensils and plates, with no access to firearms, explosive bombs, or knives. It would be a hand-to-hand combat between these two giants. Yanagi, on the other hand, would try to stay out of the action, waiting for the right moment to attack. Sikorsky and Doyle would face each other in hand-to-hand combat, and although the Russian would initially dominate, he would be overcome by the gadgets embedded in Doyle's body. Recall that this guy has blades on his elbows and knees, and a device that works like a compressed air gun, which would help him knock Sikorsky out. I don't believe a simultaneous fight among the five would occur, as they are all intelligent and aware that such a scenario is not in their favor. Some might argue that Dorian would accept a fight under these conditions, as he did at Mitsunari's house, but that was because he had an escape plan prepared with an explosive. The difference in this situation is that Dorian wouldn't have that ace up his sleeve. It would be a direct fight with no guaranteed exit. For that reason, I believe there would be small battles among the inmates, and in the end, Dorian and Yanagi would remain. It might surprise some to hear that Yanagi would be one of the last two standing. However, it's important to consider that of the five inmates, he is the most treacherous and cowardly of all. So in one way or another, he would manage to eliminate Doyle and Sikorsky. Obviously, Dorian would do the same with Speck, possibly defeating him with his hypnosis, since Speck is not exactly the brightest and would surely fall easily into that trap. But, well, to not drag this out, I'll summarize what could happen. Yanagi would have a hard time against Dorian, and regardless of his dirty tricks, Dorian could defeat him using Chinese Kenpo. The only way Dorian could lose is if Yanagi manages to hit him with the poisonous hand. But even if Dorian is poisoned, I'm confident he could defeat him. Remember that Teizen Matsumoto beat that criminal, even while under the effects of the poisonous hand. In conclusion, Dorian would be my pick to come out on top in a hypothetical battle between the five inmates. They're all fighters who resort to weapons to gain an advantage over their opponents. However, by stripping them of all these gadgets, Dorian would be the most complete fighter thanks to his Chinese Kenpo and his hypnosis technique. I have no doubt that Sikorsky or Doyle could pull off a surprise. However, I see it as unlikely in a closed scenario, such as the one mentioned in this video. And remember, you can leave your questions in the comment box. There will be more videos on this topic in the future, so your questions might be included at some point. And well, friends, thanks for watching the video. Don't forget to subscribe if you liked it. I hope you have a nice day or night. See you soon.